Okay, let's dive right into today's explainer. I want you to imagine a wild scenario where your own thoughts can literally instantaneously rewrite the rules of existence. Now, at first glance, this sounds like the greatest gift any human being could ever possibly receive, right? The absolute end of struggle, no more waiting, no more impossible dreams. But as we unpack this thought experiment today, you're going to see exactly why getting everything you've ever wanted might actually be the most dangerous curse imaginable.
Just picture that exact moment you realize it's actually happening. Your very first reaction wouldn't be fear, it would be this pure, uncontrollable joy. You'd probably laugh, shake your head, and just sit there wondering, no way, is reality actually listening to me? It's a profound shift. You are no longer living inside an ordinary life with ordinary boundaries. You know, what's really interesting is that your initial tests of this power would probably be totally harmless. You wouldn't just immediately ask for world domination. You'd start by whispering small, everyday requests just to prove the impossible is suddenly possible. You might ask for a glass of water to appear, or a few extra bucks in your pocket, or maybe a text from your crush. Nothing too crazy, just a gentle poke at the universe to confirm you actually hold this extraordinary power. But man, once those first few proofs arrive, your entire mindset fundamentally shifts. Every single problem in your life stops looking like an immovable brick wall and starts looking like a simple request waiting to be made. Bills, heartbreak, terrible weather, they can literally all be wished away. You completely transition from accepting the limits of reality to having instant, absolute control. Fate is no longer fate. It just feels entirely editable. And this exposes a really dangerous gap between getting what you want and getting what you actually need. Because, as humanity would very quickly discover, wishes are absolutely not the same thing as wisdom. You might wish for immense wealth, right? But you'd be completely blind to the profound loneliness that often comes with it. You might wish for massive success, but totally underestimate the crushing pressure that follows. In this new world, wanting something and knowing what it will actually cost you are two completely different things. Now, let's scale that up for a second. Imagine this exact realization building across the entire society as everyone figures out they can reshape the world. Human behavior would go into a chaotic spiral almost immediately. What starts as a wave of pure excitement quickly devolves. The excitement turns to absolute panic. That panic gives way to unbridled greed, and that greed inevitably leads to this bizarre cutthroat competition where literally everyone is testing reality in every conceivable direction. Any economist watching this happen would be the first to sound the alarm. I mean, think about it. Our entire civilization, our economy, our labor systems, they are all built on the core assumption that desires are limited by scarcity, time, and effort. If anyone can just magically wish for money, housing, or food, well, those things instantly lose their meaning. Why work for 10 years when a quick wish delivers immediate results? Every global market would completely unravel as the very structure of scarcity just shatters. Now, you might be thinking, hey, this sounds like total liberation. But hold on. What happens when you combine cosmic creation power with everyday human emotional volatility? The biggest danger here actually isn't economic, it's emotional. Just think about how unstable our wishes can become when they are driven by fear, jealousy, or grief. The human brain was literally never designed to have this kind of ultimate reality-bending power wired directly to our fleeting daily moods. When our emotional impulses enter this danger zone, things get dark really quickly. A wounded person might just impulsively wish to erase someone who hurt them. A desperately lonely person might force affection into existence without ever understanding the horrific consequences of doing that. A single bad day, a momentary fit of road rage, or even just a careless thought could trigger an irreversible disaster. Maintaining basic human trust would become nearly impossible. In a society where anyone could secretly change reality with a thought, everyone would know that right beneath ordinary everyday behavior lies this hidden, terrifying power. The real threat wouldn't actually be the spoken wish itself, but the hidden, potentially toxic intention driving it. Honestly, radical honesty would matter more than ever, because a lying heart with wish power is infinitely more dangerous than a lying mouth. Okay, let's take a step back, because to be totally fair here, we absolutely have to acknowledge the incredible beauty of this too. This power could literally solve countless human problems overnight. Diseases completely vanish. The hungry and homeless immediately provided for. Families torn apart by tragedy could experience sudden, miraculous mercy. On the surface, this really does feel like the ultimate final cure to human suffering. But, and this is a massive but, here is the profound twist. When pain disappears, so does the struggle. And human fulfillment is so deeply tied to progression. When you just entirely remove the struggle, life becomes empty in a completely new and honestly disturbing way. The dream matters because it was hard to achieve. The mountain matters precisely because climbing it matters.
As human beings, we become strong by confronting resistance, not by magically bypassing it. And without that resistance, we'd lose fundamental pieces of our character. I mean, why bother learning endurance? Why practice discipline? The profound dignity of earning something, of building something, of becoming someone, that would just vanish entirely. In losing these struggles, humanity genuinely risks losing a core part of itself. So that forces us into this terrifying moral question. What actually counts as a good wish anymore? Wishing for a better life seems objectively good, sure. But what about wishing for world peace? If that peace requires suppressing the free will of others? If a society wishes away all conflict, do they just become passive, weak, and completely devoid of empathy? Morality would stop being this abstract debate. It would become immediate, visible, and highly dangerous.
And you can bet this moral ambiguity leads straight into political catastrophe. The battlefield would instantly shift from land and air directly into intention and language. Intelligence services around the world would be absolutely terrified because diplomacy and treaties mean zero when a head of state can just mentally wish for total victory. If even one nation has a leader throwing out unstable wishes, the entire global balance collapses instantly.
Spiritual leaders have actually warned us about this kind of thing forever, viewing this power as the ultimate temptation. Every civilization knows that wanting something too badly can completely corrupt your judgment. Give that desire literal, instantaneous power, and the risk multiplies exponentially. Uncontrolled desire is practically the oldest trap in human history. A wish without wisdom is like a fire without a hearth. It's either going to warm your home or burn it entirely to ash.
Which brings us to a fascinating phenomenon we can call wish inflation. It's a massive, slippery slope. You start with something totally innocent, right? Like wishing for a nice dinner. But then the barrier breaks. Soon you're wishing for better looks, then you're demanding universal adoration, and suddenly you're wishing for perfect global control. Human imagination is limitless, but our judgment definitely is not. And this is exactly where tragedy begins to outpace convenience. Without the normal limits of ordinary life to shape our priorities, we just spiraled into deep existential confusion. Normally, you can't have everything, so you are forced to learn priorities. But without those boundaries, desire itself becomes completely chaotic. People would just impulsively wish for things, instantly regret them, wish them away, wish for the exact opposite, and just get trapped in this endless, exhausting loop of self-correction. So, where does this all leave us? We're ultimately looking at a paradox that leads to one of two futures. In the best-case scenario, humanity somehow learns rigorous emotional discipline. We use wishes to gently improve the world, focusing on healing instead of domination. But the darker, and honestly equally plausible version, sees powerful people entrenching their power, where a careless thought can literally ruin a life. Freedom without wisdom just creates a terrifying new form of captivity, where everyone is free, but absolutely nobody is safe. At the end of the day, our happiness relies so heavily on contrast. You really only appreciate the warmth of a fire because you know what the freezing cold feels like, right? You appreciate success because you've survived failure. If every single desire is immediately satisfied, the emotional texture of life just completely flattens out. You could literally have absolutely everything, yet somehow feel incredibly less. And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. This whole concept isn't just a fun fantasy about getting what you want. It's a brutal test of whether you even know what to want in the very first place. So, I want to leave you with this final, profound challenge. To truly thrive in a world of absolute abundance, you have to become the kind of person who actually deserves to wield that power. Are your mind and heart truly ready for the burden of a miracle?